Hello, good evening, and welcome to Shir Sipur Maisis, B'zat Hashem. Today we're starting a new story. It's called the Burgher and the Pauper. The merchant, whatever you call it. Let's take a quick look. Okay. Let's take here we go. The Burgher and the Pauper. Once there was a great burgher, a member of the prosperous merchant class in medieval Europe, who was extremely wealthy. He had quite a large amount of merchandise, and his notes and letters went all over the world. In other words, they were accepted everywhere. He had the best of everything. Below him lived a pauper. He was extremely poor and the complete opposite of the wealthy burgher in every respect. That is, their positions were reversed. Just as the burgher had great wealth, so the pauper in parallel had great poverty. And both of them, were childless. The burgher was childless, and so also the pauper was childless. Once the burgher dreamed that people had come to his house and were picking up packages and packages. So, what are you doing? He asked. We are bringing everything to the pauper. They replied, that is, the pauper who lived under him. Now, he very much resented this and was very disturbed, since they wanted to carry all his wealth away to the pauper. And he could not dissuade them with his anger, since there were so many people involved. The strangers made packages of everything, including all his merchandise, his wealth, and his property. And they carried everything to the pauper's house, not leaving anything except the bare walls. Now, he was very, very upset. Then he woke up and he realized that it had all been a dream. However, even after he realized it had been nothing but a dream, and Baruch Hashem, everything was still in his possession, his heart beat with great apprehension. The dream upset him very much, and he could not get it out of his mind. Now, regarding the pauper and his wife, he was long accustomed to caring for them and giving them whatever he could. Now, after the dream, he began caring for them even more than before. However, whenever the poor man or his wife came to his house, his expression would change, and he would be very frightened because he would recall the dream. And they, that is, the pauper and his wife, were frequent visitors of his and would go to him often. The Rebbe says in the original, it says that they were coming and going often. Once, when the pauper's wife came to visit him, and he gave her what he gave, his expression changed, and he appeared very frightened and confused. I beg your pardon, the woman said, but could you tell me what is the reason that whenever we come to you, your expression changes very much? And he told her the whole incident about his dream and how ever since his heart was full of apprehension. So she mentioned a certain date and said, did the dream take place on that night? Says, yes, he replied. What does it mean? Says, oh, on that night I also had a dream, she said. I dreamt that I was very wealthy and that people came to my house making packages and packages. And I asked them where they were carrying them. And they replied to the pauper. In other words, they were referring to the burgher, but now they already called him the pauper. So why do you pay attention to the dream? I also had a dream. Hearing her dream, the burgher was all the more frightened and confused. It seemed that his wealth and his property were destined to be brought to the pauper, and that the pauper's poverty was to be brought to him. He was extremely frightened. So here we go. We're dealing the pauper, by all accounts, and as we see from his conduct and from the way that things go with him. We're talking about the tzaddik. And the fact that the pauper lived right under him, that is it comes to tell us that the pauper is one of the people that were with the same shirish of the tzaddik. And all the things that are explained and described by the tzaddik, by the burgher, that he had called to of everything good. He was very wealthy. That in his promissory notes, letters were accepted everywhere, and the fact that he would take care of his neighbors, the pauper and his wife. The great wealth is the assurance of the das. He knows, as the Gemara says, there's no other wealth counts if it's not the wealth of das, of knowing Hashem. And the fact that his papers and they all got everywhere and accepted everywhere, means that the das of the tzaddik was accepted everywhere and he got everywhere. And the dream of the tzaddikim, we learn in Torah Chafei, which is the timely Torah in Breslov at this point in time, that there is the koyach of the dimion, the koyach of the imagination, the koyach hamadama, as Rebbe calls him. That's the ability to understand things, to decipher things, to imagine things, to fill in the gaps that the moich of the person is unable to perceive. Now, the existence of the koyach hamedama, which is the power of imagination, rather the power to imagine, the power to compare, is an absolute must for the koyach habechira. The way the Kodesh Baruch Hu created the world, there's absolutely nothing that we know for certain. There's nothing that we are sure of, that we know 100% and this is the way it is. We can be pretty certain. We can be pretty sure, but we cannot be completely sure. The main reason why we need the koyach hamedama is because we need to perceive and bring into account things that are beyond the reach of our seichel. First and foremost, of course, is Kodesh Baruch Hu. We cannot perceive a Kodesh Baruch Hu without seichel. But we can perceive a Kodesh Baruch Hu with the koyach hamedama. Indeed, the koyach hamedama is the thing that enables us to renew ourselves, to be creative. The Chidush Torah. Chidush Torah is medama milsa l'milsa, that you compare one word to another. It's the power to associate, two things which seemingly have no connection between them, and show how they are one. Now, at the same time, the koyach hamedama, that force of imagining, needs to be the servant of the real seichel, the real mind, the real intelligence. If a person goes only with intelligence and does not use the imagination at all, there's no way he can get to Kodesh Baruch Hu. Because that means, I know that fry people who consider themselves intelligent and whatever this is, I only believe in what I can see, which is silly, of course. I mean, you're going to work and you're going to take the bus. How do you know that the bus is coming? Without koyach hamedama, how do you know the bus is going to come? You have to take things at face, on blind faith that the bus will come, B, the bus will come on time. Because you're supposed to get to work at 9:00, and let's say it takes an hour from your house, to your workplace. So you're waiting by the bus stop, let's say at 5 to 8, right? How can you tell? Maybe the bus won't come today. Maybe the bus had a flat tire. Or was involved in an accident. So in fact, people who claim to rely solely on their intellect are kidding themselves. What's worse is that they imagine that the koach hadama is totally under their control. Everything that they use supposedly is pure reason. When somebody thinks that he is conducting himself with pure reason, that means that he lost all ability to discern where the reason ends and his imagination starts. You know, it's like when you're wearing sunglasses and when you're first putting them on, let's say the sunglasses are green tinted sunglasses. When you first put them on, so suddenly everything gets, a green tint to it, right? Suddenly things are greenish. But after a short while, your eyes get used to what you're saying. And being that the glasses cover all your field of vision, your mind naturally discounts the green, being that the green is over everything. And as far as the eye is concerned, the green doesn't exist anymore. It has discounted the green completely. When do you realize that what you're looking at through your glasses is tinted green? If you see out of the side of your eye where the glasses don't cover, you can see, that's right, here it's white. So in comparison to what I'm looking at straight and the side, yeah, that is green. When everything is one color, when the green does not exist, as it were, that means your ability to judge reason from imagination has been lost. As long as you know what is real and what you are deducing from it, you have a chance of actually arriving at the truth. The problem with people that get terrified is because their imagination is taken over. People are obsessive compulsive. Their koach hadama takes over and blots out the sechel meeting. And they become terrorized because as far as they're concerned, that is reality. They lost the ability to tell, listen, I'm scared. And okay, everybody gets scared. But as long as you know, listen, I'm scared because I'm terrified, because I even have I'm obsessive compulsive. As long as I know that there's sechel somewhere else. So there is a chance of actually, eventually getting out of it and having the seichel rule over my imagination. It doesn't matter if people take pills or people get used to whatever it is and they do exercises and they take chances one step at a time and get used to success, or get used to whatever mechanics are involved in that. As long as you know that your point of view is just a point of view, and if you don't see what the seichel is and where you are, this is when you're trapped. People can call it denial. People can call it is denial. That's exactly what it is. People live in denial. When people live in denial, they really have no chance of ever extricating themselves from the quagmire that they're in. The basic state of Dimyan, is of course during sleep. So we see that the Burgher, when he sees this dream, it happens during a time of sleep, and when Koyach HaMedama, the force of imagination, is harnessed, it is cleaned. It becomes a servant of the reason. There's no way that reason can come in touch with reality without that intermediary. By tzaddikim, their dreams are that which cannot be communicated through reason. The future. So Siddhis, the dream of Yaakov Avinu. You have the dream of Paroi, Lavdin. We're talking about the dream of Lavan, the dream of Avimelech. Here, the imagination is giving over information which is otherwise not accessible to the reason alone. And what the tzaddik sees, what the Burgher sees, is that his Torah, and which, when it comes from him, it is full with life, it is full with chayas, it is full with, it saves people. His letters, his promissory notes are going over the entire world, accepted everywhere. In other words, he can fix and be misaken people absolutely everywhere. What he sees, and that's a theme that we meet again in the 13th, the last story, where the king tells his son, he coronates his son while he's still alive. This is what David HaMelech did with Shlomo HaMelech. And the king says to his son, being that I am a stargazer, in other words, I have access to things that are beyond reason. I see that you will come down you will be dethroned. He says, you have to make sure that you will be b'simcha when you lose your kingdom. He says, because if you lose your kingdom and you'll remain b'simcha, then I, the father, the king, will also remain b'simcha. But if when you lose your kingdom, you will stop being b'simcha, you will not be b'simcha anymore, is I will still be b'simcha. You know why? Because you don't deserve to be a melech. You don't deserve to be a melech if you cannot keep yourself, besimcha, when you lose a kingdom. It's an amazing freedom of thought. The tzaddik sees that the title Rebbe and spiritual guide and rabbi will be taken from its high stature as the tzaddik, the way he is, the way it comes from him, that is Ma'im Chaim, this is living water that can save the entire world, and will go down to the pauper. The pauper is somebody who is also going to be a rebbe. He won't be able to do anything. He won't be able to save people. He won't be able to rectify neshamas. What he'll be able to do is he'll be able to take the words of the tzaddikim, of the true tzaddikim, and make vorts out of them. Let me tell you a vort. It's a vort, this and that, and it's beautiful. Baruch Hashem, it's Torah, it's this, if it's that, if it's this, if it's that. And you can sit, I remember many years ago when I spoke to a very Elchid, I remember an Elchid, and it was a Baruch Hashem, it was an Elchid. And I asked him, if he learns, if he studies, he's not a Breslov, but said them. So, what do you have Kedushas Levi? I asked him, do you study Kedushas Levi? He said, study? What are you talking about? I look at it. Kedushas Levi is not meant for studying. It's meant to look at. He says a nice things that sort of like fit together. Now, the thing is that Yediyas Torah, knowing Torah, in on itself is Atzlachos HaNefesh. That's a success of the Nefesh when you know Torah. Taking the Torah of the Tzaddik, which is Divrei Elokim Chaim. This is a source of water that gives life. This is life-giving water. And you break it down to being, Bertlach, Dvar Torah. It's marvelous. It's marvelous because it keeps people in the fold. But it has no koyach to actually bring people to life. It is when, it can even be tzaddikim. We learned from, the prince that was made of precious gems. There's a tzaddik b'chinas bas, a daughter. There's a tzaddik b'chinas ben. That b'chinas ben is a tzaddik that, that rejuvenates, that starts all over again, that comes all over again. That b'chinas bas means that Baruch Hashem, he has institutions, and Baruch Hashem, people learn Torah. There's koilulim, he has chaburas, and everything is fine. He's basically keeping the train rolling, which is great, which is extremely important. But that's not the madrege of the tzaddik. And the tzaddik foresees that his madregas, his Torahs, will be going down, and will find residence by, as we will learn later in the story, by somebody who is maybe even a tzaddik, but he's not a tzaddik emes. He's not somebody who can actually give life to others. I mean, it's sort of keep. Now, the wife of the pauper that comes to him, she's basically telling him something extremely profound. She says to him, really, what difference does it make to you? Meaning, when your Torah, she's talking about, did you dream of that night? She tells him. Night is the gullus. She says to him, what is there to be afraid of? It's a good dream. The meaning of the dream is your Torahs and your eitzes. They went down to illuminate in the lower places, to rectify neshamas that fell down to very, very deep places, like us. So we can make all kinds of mistakes and say, listen, I can also give shurim, I can also whatever. But that will give the tzaddik tremendous ascensions. Because that which tzaddikim go down to these lower madrigas, this is only to rectify and to elevate the neshamas that have really, really fallen far away. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu helps them and gives them tremendous koiches and bring it to extremely high madrigas. In other words, that thing that the wife of the pauper saw that her wealth will go to the house of the Burgher, it means that the schus of everything good that will ever happen to her is actually on account of the tzaddik. Now he got even more scared, right? He says, well, they take from the tzaddik all his chayra, they take it to such low places. He says he won't be able to be mikar of her because his house will remain empty. So people wouldn't even know that he has what to give. Because true, simple people don't understand. They don't understand the truth. They just receive from the tzaddik a little bit of illumination. And if the light of the tzaddik dims, that illumination also stops. Then the poor people, the small people, have tinus to the tzaddik. Why your advice don't help anymore? And I don't get any benefit out of it, and he falls completely off. So therefore, what did the Torah of the tzaddik went down for? Very importantly, we see that in the dream, he was upset, but he did not get angry. When we said that his house became empty, he says there was nothing else but the bare walls. But the bare walls were actually remained. So there's plenty of place for him to get whatever bracha that will come his way. The tzaddik sees, Rabbeinu says, also in my inyan there will be false mefarsamim. The people think that they're who knows what, and they're actually not that. He's a Rebbe here, he's a Rebbe there, he's my Rav, and he's my Rabbi, and he's my this, and he's my that. But Lamaisa, as we will see further, it is that it is through these false rabbis that the Torah of the Tzaddik actually gets the lower people. And those who actually want the truth will be able to get the truth through them. Once Reb Nosson says to Rabbeinu, what can someone who really seeks the truth do if it so happens that he is close to somebody who is really a false meforsim? He's not a real tzaddik. He's famous, he's known as a tzaddik, but he's not as famous as, in other words, what he really is not commensurate with his true fame. With his true self. So Rabbeinu said, those who seek the truth get an angel of truth. That person will receive, we're not talking about somebody who's close to somebody who is a cheater, I'm not talking about that. Somebody who's, they hold that he's, I don't know what, and he's, but he's not whatever they make out of him. He says he will get whatever truth he can from the one he's close to, and then Mishamayim, they will lead him to wherever it is he needs to get to. It is a very common thread in people that come close to Rabbeinu, that they are close to this one, and then they get close to that one, then they move from this to that, and from that to this. And it's all being done by the Rebbe, because at this particular Nakuda, you are able to receive from this one. And from this particular, that and this particular level where you're holding, you need somebody else to give it over to you. Same thing, now you're receiving from me. Without Hashem, the time will come that you will matriculate. You will need somebody that is greater. You're able to get from them. Without Hashem, and so will I. Each and every one, will get without Hashem whatever it is that he needs to get. Hashem should help us understand and rely on the koyach of the tzaddikim. And Bezrat Hashem, bevadai, we will get the tikkun gomer, the complete rectification, the way that we need to receive it. Bezrat Hashem. Next time we will meet, Yitzhak Hashem, will be on Wednesday, when we will learn again Torah Chavdala, Bezrat Hashem.